Okay, there we go. Okay, we live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Love and Pain podcast, where the Love Doctor and I talk about love, relationships, and everything in between. I'm your resident single lady advisor, Pain, who is an experienced single lady on a quest for balance. And this is the Love Doctor. Take it away, Chuck.
That's right. Yeah, I'm the Love Doctor. Like I said, I had a life-changing self-reflection about 5 years ago. Decided to change my life. From being out here, having different people and a lot of different women, and I just decided to settle down with one. So now I'm happily married, and I just want to share some of the things that caused me to change my ways and where I went wrong at, so you guys can learn from my mistakes.
Yes, I love that. I love learning from your mistakes. It's like now I don't have to make any because you made them all for me, right? Hove did that. So hopefully
trust me, I made enough mistakes for like 10 people. Trust me.
Well, you guys, if you're watching this on our YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe and please hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all of the new content we release. So let's get into it. How are you doing, Chuck? I feel like I haven't seen you in a week.
I know. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. I feel good. I went to the gym today. It was a beautiful day here in Columbus. It was snow. Okay. Like a lot of snow on Saturday, and then today was 62 degrees. So you know how we do.
Right. Yeah, y'all be swimming at 62 there, huh?
I know. I was like, ooh, it's time to get the booty shorts. Cake Central, right?
Oh, yeah, I know you be busting down out there. I'll be seeing you.
What did you get into this weekend? Tell me about your
there was some boxing shows on. I watched a couple of boxing matches. Since football is over, I was watching basketball. So I just had a great time. And then, and also I want to say, thanks to everybody that did subscribe. The page is really growing. Since last week, we are now at 415 subscribers now.
Woo!
Yeah. And remember we was at 170 last week. And then the last video that I put out, I put it out 2 days ago. It's got like 43,000 views. And like I said, we not only have this podcast on there where we talk about this relationship show, but we also do the latest news topics. We break it down for you. Mm-hmm. And make sure you subscribe to this channel, because like I said, I'll be putting out content almost daily. Yes, and I'll keep you updated on what's going on out here. And like I said, I'm gonna break it all down for y'all. So just please like and subscribe to this page so we can keep growing, so we can, get monetized and we can give you bigger and better things as we go on. We just appreciate everybody's support. So please keep coming back and please subscribe to the page.
Please, we begging y'all. Don't make us beg too hard. Don't make us keep sweating up in here.
Right.
And Chuck, that's all you, man. You do an amazing job with this whole setup. You guys, he is the man behind it. I just show up and do what he tells me to do because I'm submissive. And he knows I'm not. But thank you, Chuck. Like, you do an amazing job. So I just wanted to be on here before we get big and I start acting funny. I just want you to know that I appreciate you, man. You do an amazing job. Amazing.
Well, thank you. We're gonna keep grinding. We're just getting started. We only been on here like a month. So we're doing we're gonna keep this thing going. So we're really excited. And like I said, we got all these years out here that we're going to share with y'all of experiences. Y'all we just gonna keep learning together, and we're gonna figure things out.
Absolutely. And since you asked me about my weekend, I'm happy to tell you what happened. So this weekend, I have a mobile. I'm just joshing with y'all. I have a mobile bartending business. So this weekend, I have my first open house where we debuted like 4 different type of cocktails, and there was a charcuterie tray, and it was so classy. It was delicious. Okay. So I felt really good. I was scared to do my own event because I was like, what if it's a flop? But sometimes things are a flop. You just keep doing it, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Colonel Sanders singing big till he turned 67. So
right.
Excellent. So what about the news? What are you talking about in the news? What can people look to you for?
Like I said, I've been on, on the Fonnie Willis thing. That's like the biggest thing that's out here. There was actually a couple things. For one, on the Fonnie Willis situation, they're fighting for her private text to be released, hers and Nathan Wade's, because it's going to mess with the timeline. And you know, and it's going to show like she was in a relationship with some guy named DJ Deuce, and she broke up with DJ Deuce to get with Nathan Wade. But like I said, if they release the text, they'll show the timeline and when they actually got started, because DJ Deuce just disappeared, so we don't even know what happened to him. And it just so happened, coincidentally, right around the same time Fonnie Willis met Nathan Wade, DJ Deuce disappeared. So, you know, I know how to do math.
You think she killed DJ Deuce?
Hey, he in the missing protection program right now. So ain't
snaps.
Yeah. So he's you know, he's out of there. And then Corey Holcomb, Tasha K accused Corey Holcomb of having sexual relationship with his co-host on the 5150 show, Darlene Ortiz. But you know, Tasha K, she's messy, so it's no telling. I mean, she didn't talk to Corey Holcomb's daughter, and you know, she's trying to get any kind of dirt. She tried to extort Kevin Hart out of $250,000. You know, because I guess one of his assistants she interviewed, and he was saying that she's still cheating on his wife and whatnot. So she tried to extort Kevin Hart. So I mean, we don't know what's true and what's not with her because she's messy.
She is very so. The court is he married? Like, is that wrong for him to sleep with his co-host?
I mean, it's just that they publicly denied ever having a romantic relationship. You know, they publicly denied it, and she's trying to say, you know, because like I said, Corey Holcomb's daughter is giving her backstory. So I guess Corey Holcomb's supposed to be married. His wife is stressed out, you know, but you know, he doesn't disclose any of this stuff if you watch the 5150 show. So I mean, we really don't know, you know, what's real and what's not. I mean, because it's coming from Tasha K. So we don't know if she's embellishing or, you know, if she just sending it straight, you know, from Corey Holcomb's daughter. So, you know, it's kind of touchy when you talking to family members that are disgruntled and whatnot. So, you know.
Jesus. And somebody just said, ain't she tired of getting sued? You would think Tasha K is get tired of getting sued, but man.
Right. Hey, what's up, LaShawn? Hey.
Hey, LaShawn. So this weekend, I'm going to look at it this week, but Wendy Williams came out with her Lifetime documentary, I guess you can say. And it really shows how she's just in a bad state. She's suffering from dementia. I want to say aphasia, which is also what
looks terrible. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she looks really, really. She has Graves' disease. Like, she got everything. She's just like a cacophony of sicknesses right now. And she's dealing with some stuff with her guardianship due to her health conditions, as well as allegations from her former manager. So they have this documentary I'm going to watch, but a lot of people are saying they feel like it's karma for, you know, the stuff that Wendy Williams did. Hey, Slim Goody.
What up?
And I mean, I do believe in karma. I do believe you get what you give, but I don't always believe that, you know, just because you do bad things, you automatically reap the benefits. You've seen tons of people who have lived some evil lives and they never faced anything. And then you've seen people who've lived really good lives and they've been hit with some cards after cards after cards. I also think that someone says drug and alcohol. Yeah, drug and alcohol. You know, drug and alcohol has a lot of effects on your nervous system. And then the thing she was going through with her ex-husband, who also had a baby on her, I'm sure like that. There's like a lot of things that go into it. So I'm going to take a look at it and see what's going on. I don't feel like she deserves it or anything. I don't feel like anyone deserves that, but I'm always interested in people's stories because it's a learning lesson, you know?
Right. Absolutely.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's get into today's topic.
Okay.
You want to softball us in because you do it so well, Chuck. You do it so well. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, yeah, I sure will. I'll be glad to do it. Okay. So today's and this is going to cover a lot of things. What's wrong with today's relationships? There's a lot of different things that prevent, you know, relationships from succeeding. So we're going to kind of break it down and let's go through a couple different topics. Okay. And so we can try to cover like a broad spectrum of the problem with today's relationship. Now, the first thing that I've seen about today's relationship are the actual roles in the relationship. You know, since the country is based on money and economics, it's normally the person that has the money that has more of the authority in the household. And we already talked about this on the last show where you said that, and I did some research on it. You were right. There were a lot more divorces in the 1970s. It started in the 1960s, the middle 1960s to the late 1970s. There were a lot more divorces. And the reason why there were a lot more divorces, and this is on Google, this ain't blackdemographic.com, this is Google. It said that, and I'm just going to read it verbatim. It said that women's employment as well as feminist consciousness raising also did their part to drive up the divorce rate. So that means the feminism movement increased, and also women started making money. They started, a lot of the factories where it took a strong back to go to the factory every day. A lot of factories closed down, and then it came a lot of more like positions for women available. And there was rampant drug use that started in the 70s. There was a pure form after the Vietnam War of heroin, that caused a big problem in the Black community, especially where people were drug addicts, and functional people became slaves to the drug, and of course ongoing to the 80s and whatnot. So I think that with the job situation and how child support and having babies out of wedlock is, I think that most Black men are crippled before they turn 21, 22. Because like I told you, the biggest hindrance that you can have in your life is if you cannot attain employment and you have a child that you know what I'm saying, out of wedlock, because that becomes a lifetime bill. And as we know, kids are going to need our help until they damn near 30. Yeah. So this is going to be a burden that you're going to have to carry. And if you can't get employment, then you can't even you can't take care of your household or your kid. And if it's out of wedlock, the money's going to a different household. I mean, how can you actually survive without having a partner or somebody that understands your situation? And and most of the time, a lot of women don't. They don't care nothing about that. You go, and like I said, we live in a vacuum. Now, if I'm working my job, I remember I was working at a community center. And I'm just telling me directly. I was working at a community center, and I'm telling you, I was getting stripped so bad. I had like $20 to last me like 2 weeks. Like I had to go and buy me like chicken quarters, and you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I was broke down. Like I had an old car. I was hit. You know what I'm saying? Because a little bit of money that I was making, it was getting stripped before I could even before I even seen it. So, I was already at a disadvantage already. So, like I said, so the roles in the relationship come into a big play, especially when if the average person don't have any guidance, like if you can't offer at least guidance to your woman or whatever the case may be, and then you're not going to get the respect, that you as a man in a relationship if you can't provide or, you can't even guide the household.
I mean, I have no argument. I have no arguments with you there. I mean, I think that is a very good, one of the many reasons why relationships don't last today. Feminism was helpful in making that more difficult today, but not in a demonized way that a lot of people think about. You got to realize that marriage is in itself is a business arrangement. I think more people now are about love and everything, and love is great. Like I love love. I think love is an amazing thing, but love is not enough. Love is fleeting. You could be in love with somebody all day long in their 20s and be fascinated with the way she looks. But after a couple kids and stuff, that feeling starts to wane. You had men who were also, getting women pregnant and, having 2-3 kids. And then they're like, this is too much for me. And they were dipping. So women had to figure out ways to take care of kids and how to balance the household. So now it's like, okay, well, I need to teach my kids these tools so that they're not in this situation. I think that if divorce was more okay in earlier centuries, people probably would have divorced then. But because of the way the roles were set up, women were with men not because they loved them, not because they thought that this was a good guy. They were with men because, hey, I accidentally got pregnant and I don't want to be deemed as a horrible person in society, so I'm gonna stay with you. They also stayed with men because they couldn't afford money or couldn't afford to be on their own. They couldn't hold jobs. They couldn't have bank accounts. They were with men out of necessity, which, I mean, as a man, I would kind of feel some type of way that you're only with me because I can provide for you, not that you love my character or think I'm a good guy. So I don't know whether or not that's good or bad, but I would have an issue with it. But yeah, I would say that because of the role reversals, I think women demand a bit more. And I think it's not more about what you can necessarily provide as a man, but what type of man are you? Like, are you a good guy? And I find that men used to just have to provide. They didn't really have to be a good guy. You didn't have to be a nice guy to your wife. Dudes used to hit their women so they can get in line. I mean, who's that? What's that one movie that TV, The Honeymooners? And he used to tell his wife, bam, zip, straight to the room. Like he used to threaten to beat his wife because she was getting a little bit too mouthy. So now that men, it's a two-parter. Women are, they're more in charge. They're more like, hey, I can take care of me. You got more guys who are having a hard time becoming just a charismatic type of guy, because now it's not just about money. It's about, are you likable? Are you a likable individual? And a lot of women will tell you a lot of guys they run into are not. But I also believe that we're not, because money isn't a factor, because it's not about survival, I don't think people know how to really date or pick a good partner based on non-financial situations. So it's easier for us to break up because it doesn't feel right. This doesn't make sense. I'm out. And there's no repercussions for you leaving. We don't shame people anymore, which I don't believe is necessarily good or bad, but I'm saying people aren't shamed for divorces anymore or leaving anyone anymore. So they're more likely, you're more likely to break up.
Right. That's true.
I also think people, when you look at love, right? Love is not like, love isn't enough. Love isn't enough for me. Me being in love with somebody, it's not enough. Like we talk about this, the financial component is important. I know some people right now who they love each other to death, but like they broke. and because they keep having babies, which cost more money, they're stuck in that endless cycle. And what's one of the top reasons for divorce? What do you know the top reasons for divorces?
I mean, personally, I think it's choices. Personally, that is the top reason. We choose people for the wrong reasons. First off, let me say, hey, what's up, Charmaine? What's up, George? I think they said hi or whatever. Hi. And another thing is like, so when you're, raised in a single household without the father there, now remember that a man by nature should be raised to be strong. And a lot of times we're not raised to be strong anymore. Like we're raised to, to cater to the woman. And a lot of times that doesn't work out for us. I mean, because if we're doing everything, around the woman and we don't have our own mission and we're not building ourselves, then they're not going to follow us. So, that's why I say under any circumstance, if you are a man in any circumstance, like I told you, I've been the brokers of broke and I've had a lot of money at the same time, but I've always been the same person. I wasn't going to be disrespected. I don't care where, my finances didn't determine my manhood. I was always going to stand up and be strong and deal with whatever circumstances came my way. And I was going to stand tall and I was going to deal with it. It might have took me a minute to get out of my situation, but that's what I did. And like I said, we live in a vacuum. So like I said, if we're broken down by child support, not able to get a job because of our record, I mean, we've broken down already. So if we don't cater to the woman that's making the money, or in other words, some of us simp or whatever the case that people do, then a lot of people, they're going to be homeless because where are they going to stay at? You know what I'm saying? You can't even be a man and stick your chest out and put bass in your voice over somebody else's house that could tell you to get out. So that is not our natural state of being. We should be strong. We should be able to exercise power and dominion over our area. You know what I'm saying? Just like I said, I'm in my crib right now. Right? Okay. I can bump my music as hard as I want to bump my music. You know what I'm saying? Because I pay for this thing here. You feel me? Okay. So I can do what I want to here. Now, if I'm over somebody else's house and I bump the music, shut that stuff down. I gotta shut it down. Or what's the next thing that's gonna come after if I don't? Get out. That's the two favorite words that women like to say. You see what I'm saying? So no, man should be strong. And like I said, whatever our circumstances is, we just got to figure our way out of it. Like I told you, I've had to reinvent myself many a times as an adult because the doors were always closed for me because of my record. So I had to start over. And like I said, if I didn't have somebody that could start over with me, that could take me at my bottom, knowing that I have a plan, then then that wasn't the person for me.
So when you say cater to women, like what does that mean, Chuck? What does catering to women mean?
I mean, that means that you're basically following her lead. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we are all individuals and we should have goals in life. But a lot of times we get caught up in just catering into the other person's goals and losing ourselves in that situation. Men are starting to do this now because we don't have the upper hand anymore. Like I said, unless we have economic power and we have our own place and we can exercise power and dominion and be ourselves, then you're just going to get the broken down version of a man. He's not going to be able to stand up for himself. He's not going to be able to lead the family. Because if he ain't got no money, tell the truth. You ain't going to follow no man that ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? Or a plan. You're just not. That's just a natural order of things. Men should be in the lead. And like I said, and for a woman to say that it ain't, then that's feminism.
I don't think that's what that is not what feminism is. Feminism is the right, okay, as a woman, to if you don't want to be a housewife, you don't have to be a housewife. If you want to work, you can work. And if you work and you work with people in the same position, you have the same credentials, you should get paid the same. That is what feminism is. All right.
No, that's not everything.
That's what feminism is.
Listen.
What do you think feminism is?
Okay, let me explain to you what feminism. First of all, let's say women want it all and still complain if they got it. They won't hit the mirror either.
I mean, you gotta choose better, but that has nothing.
But okay, this is the thing. So, like, if you look at the relationships at whole, like what feminism did, see what it is a marriage is bigger than yourself. It's not just about you. It's about the best of the whole. So if you only think about what your needs are, then the whole thing ain't going to work because you have to sacrifice something for the group. That's just the nature of the game. But if it's just all about you and just your happiness alone, then it's just not going to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, like that's why you see a lot of people stay together until the kids get out of school because it's bigger than just you. You're talking about a family here. You know what I'm saying? This is like you said, once you enter into that contract of marriage, that means it's not just you. You got two people that you got to factor into every decision that you make. And like I said, and people don't do that anymore. Like I said, people just, as soon as the things get rough, they go. They don't know how to work things out. And that's one of the problems that we're having right now. We're just thinking about me instead of us. You know what I'm saying? And that's not right.
But what did feminism have to do with that?
Because like I told you, feminism, again, made it about just you. It's saying, forget the family. I'm going to do me. I ain't going to get married. And like I said, there were women. I'm not going to deny that there was a lot of abuse going on. I mean, my grandma on my dad's side, I mean, tells they said, my grandfather used to walk to work. When he came home, he ain't want nobody to say nothing when he got home. Y'all be quiet. If y'all say anything, then he bringing out the belt. So I get it. There was an oppression. There was an oppressive element to how it was before. So I can understand that you don't want to be oppressed or anything like that. But like I said, it's the family structure. Once women had power, then you guys left the man. And like I said, and your facts about last week about how the divorce rate is so low now, that's because people aren't getting married now. You know what I'm saying? The marriage rate has declined by 60% in the United States since the 1970s. So that's why the divorce rate is lower because less people are getting married. It's just like when you go to a high school, you can say, oh, only 5 people flunked out of my class. But if there's only like 100 people in your 12th grade class, then I mean, come on, that's not saying anything. That means there's a couple hundred that didn't even get to the 12th grade. So, those numbers are kind of deceiving.
Well, people are getting married later in life, which I agree. You get married with someone in your 20s, who you're at in 20 is not the same who you're going to be at 30. Feminism was not about who you're at 30 is not who you're going to be at 40. So I do agree that people should, you don't have to get married so early in life anymore. You had to get married early back in the day because one, people were dying earlier. People were dying at the age of 60, 50s and 60s. Mm-hmm. That was a full life. People are now living into their 80s, their 90s, and their 100s. You don't really develop mentally until you get into your late 20s. So you get married at the age of 15, 16, right? You don't know what love is. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what life is. You get married at 15, and normally these are grown ass men who are marrying young girls, okay? These are men who know that, oh, I'm about to get over on this little chick. They're in their late 20s, early 30s.
It ain't about getting over.
It is because, and let me tell you, I remember when I was like, when I was 18, I was dating this man who was like 37. And one of his things was, I love dating younger women. You know, y'all are so impressed by everything. And it's true. Younger women are impressed by so much because we have so little life experience. So if you get that woman at a younger age who doesn't expect much of you, you could be a crappy individual to her. Now, when she gets older and realize, oh, I don't have to be treated this way, then she's going to bounce. Who wants to be in that situation?
Like, come on, stop this color purple stuff. But listen, I'm gonna tell you why men like dating younger women. I'm gonna tell you that. The reason is because when you date younger women, there's more enthusiasm about things, about life. Like I said, when I got married to a woman that was a lot older than me. Now, I was going on trips and everything, and she acted like she wasn't pressed. Now, so when I started messing with younger women, you know what I'm saying? I could do a simple trip to Cleveland. And you know what I'm saying? And then, like I said, oh my God, this is all for me. I mean, so just the excitement. Yes, you're teaching somebody, you're grooming them, and you know they appreciate you for who you are. A lot of times people take other people for granted. A lot of people, women especially, get bitter when they get older. They think, okay, he just taking me out on this trip because he wants something and this and that. I don't care. You hold back and things like that. But younger women, they're more enthusiastic about life in a lot of areas. Whereas, when women get older or even men are bitter too. We just stop, appreciating the little things in life. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's more the reason. And then of course, when you have more wisdom than somebody that's younger and things like that, you know what I'm saying? They tend to be more submissive because you know more. And they make you feel more like a man because they're younger and more enthusiastic about the things that you're doing.
Yeah, if you don't have experience in life, you are enthusiastic about bare minimum. So as Sherry said, I was that young woman. You're enthusiastic about bare minimum stuff. Like he's doing a bare minimum type of situation. And then you get older and then he doesn't improve. Like it should be an elevation thing. You should be doing more. You guys are still trying to take that 40-year-old to Cleveland. That's not going to impress that 40-year-old.
See what I'm saying? Exactly. That's exactly why we don't mess with older women. What's wrong with going to Cleveland?
You should be doing better in life.
You can. That's just a start. Cleveland is a start. We start off somewhere. So if you want to go home and you tripping, it's just a 2-hour ride. I'll bring you right back. That's how you start that off. You don't go to take no plane trips with nobody for the first time. You go somewhere that's within driving distance. So if they start tripping, you turn around and you take their ass right back.
Here we go. Young women, don't waste your youth. These older men got miles and not equipped with warranty. Damn, go ahead, Letitia. But if you're talking about your first date with your younger woman, okay, she's going to eventually become that older woman who expects more. So you just going to keep. I believe marriage is a business. Marriage is a business. A lot of people today are all about love. That's what I was saying earlier. Love is nice. I like love. Love is great, but love is fleeting. There's people who
money's fleeting too. Most things in life are fleeting.
If you know how to get money, you'll always get money. Beauty is going to change as you get older. You're not going to have the same. That's science. Making money is not it's an art. But if you know how to make money, you know how to make money. Like you said, you had to reinvest yourself. If you know how to make money, you know how to make money. I never worry about not having money because I know how to make it. I'm gonna do what it takes to get it legally. I can legally do, and I don't even have to pop my pee to get it. Miami is a bare minimum to some women now. They want to go out the country now. It depends on what type of chick she is. You have to look at also people from the families they're in. Me and my best friend we were talking about arranged marriages. And just how arranged marriages is what marriage was really for. It was the fact that I'm going to combine my wealth and my assets to your wealth and your assets. We're going to combine that and we're going to be even wealthier, have more assets than before. And that's how you build these strong families like the Rothschilds and who own the people who own the Waldorf Astoria, the Astoria clan. That's how they
Mhm.
built it. They only marry into money. Marriage
Right.
is a business.
Yeah.
And I think people only look at love, only look at, damn, he looks good. Oh, ooh, he got a big penis. Oh, she knows how to have sex. They don't look at, do you guys have similar goals? What's your end game? Where do you see yourself 10 years? I know that I'm going to take care of my parents when they get older. That's a conversation I need to have. I don't want us to get to that point and you get mad because my parents are living with me and you're like, I never thought about this. People look at marriage for, I'll tell you this, fairy tales fucked it up for everybody. Fairy tales, Disney, TV show. I remember growing up thinking like, oh, that's how, he's just going to look at you and he's going to just be in love. I mean, and yeah, he's going to be in love, but with that cat, not you. And I think men are also guilty of it. Men are also guilty of, she looks like this. I'm attracted to her. I attract you. Men, this is what I hate. Men are attracted, are visual creatures. Y'all don't think women are visual creatures? You don't think we want a baddie? We don't want no fine ass dude with a 6-pack, 6'2". No, we want that. What happened to 50-50? I always wonder, like, I know my grandparents did 50-50. My great parents didn't do 50-50. What about your parents or anything about your great grandparents, Chuck?
Well, yeah, my grandparents, I mean, like I said, he was a working, he was a hard labor guy. And she took care of the household. So it was a traditional where he worked and she stayed at home with the kids. And like I said, this tech age, I mean, things like that very rarely happen. So, yeah, I mean, I think it should be 100. I think, like I said, if this thing called relationship is going to work, then everybody has to be 100. Give me everything you got, and I'm gonna give you everything that I got. That's the only fair way to do it. Now, you might be more prolific in certain areas than I am, but I may be more prolific in this area. So that's how it works out if you guys are a good fit. Some things that you may be weak in, the other person may be strong in. And that's really what a relationship is. It's interdependence. That's why marriages lasted so long before, was because really they only made it so the man could make money. Women couldn't even get jobs. So
yeah, women had to be there.
So you had to have a man, or you wasn't gonna have nothing. So it was an interdependence. That's why I think marriages lasted so long. When people now have more choices, then that's when the problem come in. And then of course, the welfare thing came in where they it was actually beneficial to you not to have a man in the house. If you've seen the movie Claudine, like you wasn't even allowed to take gifts from a man or anything if you was going to get that welfare check and had that apartment. You couldn't even do it. That was just how it was back in the day, especially in some of the bigger cities. It was just a plan to keep the man out of the house. So, this was all, I think, just grafted. It was structurally grafted. And we're still suffering the consequences to this day. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. And what's the next? It's still within what's wrong with the relationships, but I think another factor in that is our culture, because, like I said, when I listen to Black men and women speak, what I'm saying, and sometimes when I hear you speak too, Champagne, man, people are scared to death to get into any long-term relationship or to actually be vulnerable to somebody else, because, when you care, you could get hurt. And if I put all my heart into somebody, or if I sign on that dotted line where my finances are exposed, then, somebody can get me. So I think people are scared to death to be with each other in that way. Like, you watch on YouTube, they got something called the Passport Bros, where they go around to different countries and they date foreign women, in mostly third world countries, but they got a little bit of cheese, and these women, they love it because they got more than what the men have in that country. So they feel more like a man by dating these other women. And some of them are real beautiful and stuff. They're in a different culture, but they're getting treated like kings. And they're not going to get that treatment here. It's not going to be enough for the American Black woman, because y'all want too much most of the time. Okay. But I just think what our culture, when it comes to play, like if you're not in a household that was in a functional relationship, you may not know what a functional relationship looks like. You haven't seen two people that are in love struggle and overcome difficulty and work it out together, because the first sign of trouble, most of the time people just run. People don't work it out no more. They scared, man. They put on them track shoes and they take off.
So, first of all, there was a lot of things you said. I'm going to rebut.
No, sure.
I'm rebutting every flipping thing. First of all, I ain't scared of no relationships. I ain't never been scared. I'm usually the first one to be like, I love you. I'm the first one, and it just don't work out. I have no ill will to none of those dudes. We just didn't have the same thing. So nobody's scared of a relationship, but I think we're in a period where you can actually men get welfare too. They do get welfare, yes. They absolutely get welfare.
I was just talking about back in the 70s, you know.
That only lasted for 4 years. That wasn't like a long thing. It only lasted for 4 years. Right. But that's a great topic to touch on. Interdependence, if you haven't read it, it is a good one. For me, it's not a fear of relationships. It's just I've seen a lot of people who got married in their 20s are now divorced in their 40s. Mm-hmm. And a lot of things that I saw in those marriages was that people just want to get married. They don't, another thing back in the day is we don't do is you don't take your significant other to meet the family. You don't get input from which, it goes back to us not having a strong family structure. But my dad always talks about that. People don't vet their significant others. You would go, the parents would have dinner with the other parents. You would sit there and talk and discuss and just kind of see what type of person this is. And I've never met, and the guys who I did get into a relationship, I did bring them around my parents and they gave their input, but it was just like, this is not a person you should probably marry. And I'm fine with that. But we don't look at what people have in their past. We don't look at their family setup. If you don't have a parent, a mom or dad who's in a good relationship, that could come down to you. If you don't know if you've never seen people be in a good relationship, and I have, that's why I'm okay with where I'm at. You don't know how to do that yourself. So I think that's one of the things that a lot of people have issues with. We don't have that format like we did before. And people are scared. And you do have the passport bros. The passport bros, what's happening is one of the key things you said is they take their money to these other countries and they trick out on these women. Okay. Mm-hmm. These women are not dating them because they like this black man. This black man has a good character. As soon as that black man goes broke, they're leaving him off rip because he ain't got no money. They're not going to stay through and stick it with him. And then he's in another country, so he ain't really got no support over there. At least here, you got other black men who be like, oh, yeah, dude, I understand what you're saying. I got you, bro. You're in a whole nother country because you couldn't cut it over here. So you went over there. And then also we talk about likability, right? If you a dude who got sauce, who got the juice, you can pull it no matter where you're at in the country. I even know dudes who broke. They can still pull women no matter where they're in the country. If you got the sauce, you got the sauce. But passport bros, same thing as women who go, just only to date outside their race. There's something wrong with you internally. And that's why you're doing it. So fuck the passport bros. But you're right. Yeah, those women are treating them like a king because they have money. So it comes down to the core situation of if they get their funds up over here, perhaps those women will treat them like the kings that they want because obviously they're not worried about being better individuals.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that's true. But like I said, at least with the money that they do have, even though it's temporary, they get treated like a king. And those are just basic things that, that I don't think that women do anymore. Like when you go over to somebody's house, I can't remember the last time I was invited over to somebody's house and they said, hey, just come through. I want to make you a meal. We're going to chill or whatever. Everything's got to be okay. Where are we going? This and that, and that's kind of a turn off for me. Like, show me this is listen, when you go out on a date, it's an audition to how I'm going to be treated as a man and you're going to be treated as a woman, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how we should that's how you should look at dating. Like I said, Champagne, I be trying to tell y'all women stuff that men like, but y'all don't listen. That's part of the reason that I tell you, listen, like I said, if all you're doing is you just dating because somebody's cute and whatnot or whatever, but if you listen to me, you'll learn something because I'm just coming to you with most of the brothers that I know that are trying to get married that are or that are married. This is how we think. So I mean, y'all need to get on board with what we're saying. So okay, all right. So let's move on. Let me see. We got 20 minutes.
So what about if we're telling you we don't like to be treated this way? Why is it that what you want supersedes what we want?
No, I didn't say it superseded it. I'm just saying we don't get the basic bare minimum things that that would be cool. Like like bringing a guy his plate, little stuff like that, just to make him feel that he's important. things like that just don't happen. Like, men need to be more chivalrous and open up doors and things like that, and be, treat you like a queen too. But we don't get anything either. So I'm just saying things like that have been just lost in the culture. And I think that's why, people rush to judgment. So now we're judging someone is by their body, how the sex is, things like that, things that, over time, no matter how fine somebody is, it's like I said, if you guys aren't connected on other areas, then that's going to fade too. So those things, they don't really matter as much as time goes on.
And Vance says, I married and been with my wife for 34 years, and it's real easy to see the silly stuff that people won't put up with. Many times they just need an excuse to cheat. I do agree. I do agree that there's a lot, and even as women, which I don't think I think if a man cheat, you should not put up with that. But there's been women who dudes been, but they were cheating on them like in the beginning, so they got married thinking that the cheating would stop, and they believe in that. Well, men can't be faithful type of adage. So I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. But go ahead, Chuck. I know you're trying to move through. Sorry.
Oh no, it's cool. It's cool. And I'm just gonna give you another example too, like how our culture and our brand has been like just our brand has been completely damaged. You know what I'm saying? Like, black women have been put out as, as being hoes. Black men been put out as being thugs. I mean, just like the YouTube clause, like you're not allowed to have gun violence on YouTube unless it's a rap video. So that means that it's actually, encouraged for us to be branded as being savages out here. That's just how people look at us, and like if you go to the carryouts, like the Africans in there, the Arab dudes, they be hitting on black women all the time. Like, what I'm saying? Like, and y'all be flirting with them to get free stuff and all that kind of stuff.
The Arabs at the corner store?
Yes, I've seen it plenty of times because the brand is, black women are easy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that that's the truth, what I'm saying? But that's just what our brand is. Our brand has been tarnished. And we already have a prejudice against each other that, the other person ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Just like, okay, I was dating this Jamaican woman. Like this was back in like 08, 09, something like that. And, she was super cool. She could actually cook pretty good and everything. But the one thing that she had was she said that, we could only get so close. She wasn't allowed to date American black men. That's what her family told her. Did you hear about? Yeah. They do not want Jamaican women to date American black men. They're allowed to date American white men, but they can't date American black men. That's because that's how they look at us, that we ain't nothing, that we just going to dog them. We ain't going to be nice to them. We ain't going to marry them. That's already putting us behind the 8 ball already. So, so I think, that's some of that goes into, the fear because we think that everybody's out to get us. And
it's a victim fear. Yeah. It's I think that if people like, you're going to get hurt. I have no problem getting to a situation and understanding that it may not work out. And that's where I think it goes back to the whole people put so much emphasis on things not working out, on a relationship ending. Someone has to be a victim. Someone has to be a villain versus, hey, it just don't work out. A friend of mine, she's African, straight out of Africa. Her mom is African, straight out of Africa. Her first husband was African. Or African men, it's just like, everybody's different. I'm not even going to paint nobody with a broad brush, but to think that other black people are better than American black people, that's asinine in itself, right? Everyone is different. But anywho, so she dated, they have that rhetoric of they don't date, black American women because we're ghetto. They don't date black American men because they're thugs. They listen to the 13% causing over 80% of the crime rate or whatever that, whatever the bullshit. So she ended up dating a black guy, and this black guy did her dirty. He did her super dirty, and it really reinforced that ideology versus you could date an African man, they'll do you dirty. You could do a white, Asian, Chinese, Japanese, you could date any individual and they will do you dirty. But people attach it to that culture because it's easier to just knock it off or to do a wide brush and say it's everyone to think it's going to do better. But I've dated men of all races, and shitty men and shitty women exist in all races. And I think the better we understand that, the better off we'll be. But we do perpetuate more of that thought process. And I know there is that the powers that be, if you believe in that, pushes more of those hood and ghetto type of things. But we buy that. We buy it, we listen, we play it. So it's basic business 101, supply and demand. All right. If we didn't demand that type of music, if we didn't demand those type of rappers, they wouldn't push it as much. So we're just as at fault as those who's pushing the stuff.
That's true.
So
That's true.
The question is, what do we do as Black people to clean up our image? Look at these kids. You see those kids who jumped to Cam Newton?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At the 12 and under camp games. Yeah.
What? 12 and under?
Yeah, it was like, or that one might have been 15 and under.
I mean, no, I'm just saying, those some big ass 12-year-olds. They were big.
I mean, yeah. I think those were like the teenagers, or they might have been young adults too, or you don't know who they were. Yeah.
Like that's a culture thing, right?
Right, exactly. So, that's just, come on now. That's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
But Cam Newton, he very arrogant and he talk a lot of trash, so they just probably couldn't take it.
I mean, you just because you talk, sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt. We gotta do better at that. Black people, always want to go into your mouthpiece, and I understand that. And you told me this before. Sorry, I'm gonna get to it in a minute. You told me this before that because I always ask, like, why do you guys have to go to violence? Why can't you just walk away? And one of the things you talk about that a lot of Black men, or not a lot of Black men, but those specific type of Black men, they don't have anything to really lose. They don't have property. They don't have money. When you have things to lose, you're less likely to go to such animalistic things. But when all you have is your respect and your pride, that's what you feel like you got to defend. Is that still correct, or am I speaking out of turn?
Oh yeah, that's just in general. That's absolutely. The people that have less to lose, are definitely going to be the ones that start the most static. Absolutely. And that, that segues us into our final topic of, still under that same platform. And before we get into this last one, please, everybody go to the YouTube page and subscribe. Please. It don't cost no money. Like and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to build it. We almost close to the monetization part. So just, go and like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it. Okay. So the last thing that we can go to, and it was more, but we ain't gonna have time to get in everything. But another thing that's a big hindrance to what's wrong with today's relationships is our friends. Now, listen, misery loves company. And the worst thing that can happen in a situation is that you have an envious friend, not jealous. A healthy jealousy can actually be good, because jealousy can aspire somebody to become great just as you are. Somebody that you might have grew up with, they see you, oh man, you doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like they see you shining or whatever the case may be, and they want to do the same thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. But envy has to be acted on. An envious person would do anything in their power to bring you down or to stop your happiness because they're not happy. That's the difference between envy and jealousy, is the action behind it. So if I have a friend and this has happened, I'm gonna tell you, when I got engaged, there was a one, he really ain't a friend. I ain't gonna really say a friend, but he was hating on the whole situation. Like, man, I don't get married to none of these girls, man. Shit, they ain't nothing, man. You know what I'm saying? They just gonna take you for all you got and this and that. It was just all this negativity. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, when you have like friends that are being a negative influence on your relationship, I mean, you got it. The thing about it is, about loyalty. You got to be loyal to yourself first. Mm-hmm. Don't be loyal to your friends who are hating on your situation and you doing better about yourself. When you need to be loyal to yourself, because like I said, people don't like to see other people winning. And and if they're a real friend, they will support you and they will do things to help you get happy and to achieve your goals. But an envious person is going to try to bring it down or be negative about the situation.
Yes, I agree. I was reading Forbes, and they actually pulled their information from, I want to say, the CDC, and they had talked about, they broke down the divorce rates, divorce by boomers, gender, age, first marriages, and one of the interesting correlations they said was, and it makes sense, that people who have divorced friends are more likely to get divorced. Mm-hmm. And that makes so much sense, because one of the things we talk about is misery loves company, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was younger and you talk to, and there are bitter people, there are bitter men, there are bitter women. I always happen to talk to a bitter woman, and this is why I say it's important to have male friends as well. This woman, I was talking to her about, and one of the things she had said was like, there's all men cheat, and most of the good men are married by the age of 28. So after 28, you're just fucked, right? So I was like, right? And I talked to my friend Nate, and he said, I mean, it's the truth for her. If that's what she believes, that's her truth. But what you believe and what you put out there, that's what you get. And he reassessed that, hey, that's not the case. All right. He didn't say it like she was bitter, but I know that's probably what he was thinking. But it's true. And had I actually listened to her and just paid attention to her and just adopted that mindset, I too could be a bitter woman who's just out here like, oh, fuck these niggas, ain't shit. I could have been like that. So it is important for you to have friends who believe in relationships. And I won't even say divorced friends are necessarily bad, but if they're in the stage of bitterness and they're on F all these different individuals, you can't be around them, because they do have it. They'll pick little stuff up like, oh, she ain't make your plate. She's cheating. You need to leave her. There's a whole bunch of women in the Philippines who will make your plate for you. So it is important for you to not have those negative friends. Did you, when you were getting married, did you have, I know a guy who helped his cousin cheat on his wife. And that's true. If you have single male friends, they will be out there helping. Dwayne Campbell and Dwayne Martin and Lisa Ray and Lisa Ray's husband. Did you hear about that? How she said that he helped her husband get some tang, get some booty?
Yeah, I seen that.
Oh, because I mean,
yeah. That's real. See what I'm saying? And like I said, if his cousin was any good, he would have just not been like, nah, man, you don't do that, man. That ain't cool. That's the type of person that I've always been. Even though I've done most of the messing up, and I told my cousins, like, look, man, let me do all the messing up. Y'all do good by your women, okay? I'm gonna be out here in these streets. Y'all go home. but listen,
that's what you need.
Right, exactly. So, and I'm the older cousin, so I had to make sure they right, and they happily married. But listen, I was dating this girl, right? And this was, this was a while back ago. And she was cool and all that, or whatever the case may be, but she had some bum ass friends. All her friends was some bum ass chicks, man. And they was all like hood rats, and they was out here clowning and everything. So one of the friends, like, she ended up moving in with me, right? And one of her friends needed somewhere to stay for like for a little bit, because I guess something happened. I don't know what happened, but she needed somewhere to stay. I was like, all right, what I'm saying, she could stay in the basement for a minute. Dang. So anyway, so she stayed in the basement for a minute and stuff like that. And I'm cooking, and we having a great time. Like, we always, at movie night, we kicking it. We always had a great time. And I went to like my daughter's like sweet 16 birthday party. So then the girl called me like, did you have some girl in this house and this and that? And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, yeah, because she knows somebody. So one of her girls said she came over here and she described the house and everything. I'm like, and I mean, shit, maybe I hit her before you. I knew you. I don't know. But her girl was hating. So I was like, look, hey, tell her to wrap her shit up before I get there.
Wrap it up, bitch.
Yeah, it's time to go. Like, she was just a little hater, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? She just came in there to wreck it. I'm telling you. Because she came over for a couple barbecues and was always like, oh, this is a nice house. You got a jacuzzi in the back, this and that. The next thing you know, she needed somewhere to stay. She was just a hater.
She was. You gotta be careful. One of the things, I'm one of my many of my friends are married, and I love that for them. I am one of the few single friends. And one of the things I pay attention to is, unfortunately, like, single friends, single women who's like, or the single friend of the group, they always get the bad rap because you out here doing these crazy antics, right? And they're like, oh, you don't hang out with single people because they're gonna make you want to be single. On the contrary, I am very cognizant, and I tell my friends all the time, like, don't get divorced. Don't come out here in these streets. You are not gonna find better than work it out. I don't like, if I'm going over to my friend's house and she ain't there and her husband is there, I'm sitting outside in the car. I'm not going in the house. Not that I don't trust the husbands, but you just never know what kind of hater situation and what happens in that mind of idleness, right? And then two, I had friends who were married, who was out here in these streets. And I was notorious for saying, bro, like, you need to cut that out. Don't do that. Like, you actually got you a good dude. I wish I had a good dude. Don't do that. I mean, I'm not going to snitch on my friend because at the end of the day, that's still my friend. But I made sure every time she told me a story, I would let her know she was wrong and listen to the story still, because I like a little tea.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, if you have a hater friend, get rid of that hater friend.
Right, because it's like being an independent Black woman, and for a lot of guys going to jail. It's like a rites of passage in our community, which is terrible. Like being proud of being independent. I mean, that's just goes against, the community. Like, we should have people that are together that can work together. Because once you have a broken family, then it's too much dissension in our community. I just think people are it's so much safer just to go out on trips with girlfriends and hang out with your dudes. You're not taking any risk. Nobody can hurt you because you with your girls. Y'all can sit up there and clown men, or we could talk about women. Like that's a safe way in life, because when you get with the right person, it multiplies. Like the power that you have as a one person, when you combine your powers together, man, there's so much more things that you can do that you couldn't have done by yourself. And that's the type of thing that we need to start looking at, because the way our culture is just, I mean, it's a battle of the sexes. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's not looking too good out here for us.
I will say, I know he feels like, I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman being independent. I feel like you need to have independence, because until you find your match, you got to support yourself.
Right, absolutely.
Okay. And when you're not okay with yourself and you're so focused on being in a relationship because it's such a sin for you to be okay being single, then you're going to have that situation like the chick who was who the fuck did I marry? You're going to marry somebody who is definitely not a good epitome. But I do believe that once you get into that relationship, it does need to be independent. You can't be throwing, I'm an independent woman and I don't need you. Y'all need each other if you get married. Y'all should be adding to each other's happiness. Y'all should be happy by yourself. Right. But then you should come together and amplify the happiness.
Right, absolutely. And that's all I gotta say about that. But yeah, I mean, listen, we just, like I said, if once you start getting on that, well, yeah, of course you need to be independent and everything, but I think that one of your goals in life, and if you ask, the average white woman is to be married and have a family. I don't think that most Black men or Black women, I don't think a lot of times that's their goals. It's just, I'm gonna make this paper, I'm gonna get my degrees, I'm gonna, do these accomplishments, but you don't even think about doing it with someone. And I think that's part of the problem, because if you look at the basic model of the family structure now, it's normally headed by a woman, and that's, like I said, and that's part of the problem right there. It's how we think of ourselves, and we don't think about the being in a relationship. So that's why you focus more on your independence than you do trying to find a mate. So I think that's part of the problem.
I don't, but we don't have enough.
Like I said, again,
but no,
it's don't listen. You know what I'm saying? You don't want
part of it. But hear me out. Like, how do we know that most white women, that's their goal? Like, why do we?
I said the average white woman. I didn't say
why do we think that's the average white woman's goal? Like, what makes us believe that that's their average goal?
Because they're married more than we are. Their family structure is different. As a community, they pull together, and they will pull together to hate on you, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, but they have a community, like just, you could even on a basic level in the white community, where do we go to trick or treat at? We be going to like Berwick or somewhere like that where they got, the lights on and stuff. In the hood, you might find 1 out of 20 cribs that got the lights on for Halloween, because it's not a community oriented pulling together type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just don't, we're not connected as a community, and it starts in the home. You know what I'm saying? But that's how you could just how white people stick together. Black people need to do the same thing. But like I said, again, if we're not taught that, you know, and that normally happens in the house, then it doesn't happen.
Well, I will
Most
say
men
this.
leave the woman that helps them become successful. I wouldn't say most men, you know what I'm saying, but it does happen. I mean, you look at like Denzel Washington. He's been with his wife for how many years? He was considered one of the sexiest men alive. He stayed with her throughout this whole time. He could have left her and got somebody else. There's a lot of women. Look at Ice Cube been with his wife forever. I mean, there's so many different cases where, you know, people do respect their wife. So I think that's just the commonplace where we just automatically think that, oh, he's going to leave me or whatever the case may be. But that's not the case. If you got you a good man, he's going to be a good man. Plain and simple. Some dudes is just rotten. And sometimes people just grow apart. So it's just all taking a chance. And that's why people are afraid to commit, because they don't want to get hurt.
That's true. Fear of hurt. I will say white people are more unified now because they've had hundreds of years to be able to get there, where it's more than just what we see right now. Black people haven't had that, but that's another subject for another day.
All right. Okay, y'all. Hey, we came to the end of our time. Remember, please like and subscribe to the page, because we're growing and we want to keep putting out good shows and keep getting better and better. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. And please tune in next week at the same place at the same time. You got any closing remarks?
Yes, you guys, if you follow me on my Facebook page, check me out at 9:00 as we talk more about relationships. Love is Blind. It's a new show on Netflix. It's not really new, but they have a new season. So we're going to talk about the first season of 6, talk about what we see, and could you do Love is Blind? So that's what I got. What about you, Chuck?
All right. And like I said, hey, go to my page and just check out the stories that I'm releasing. And it's getting a lot of buzz. And please just keep supporting. We appreciate y'all coming. We will see y'all next week. Same place, same time. Peace.